Hi, everyone. Welcome to another webinar with the Furlough Network. It's Ladies' Day today on this Monday. We've got the ladies from the Furlough Network joining us. So we have Mari and Tatiana joining us as well to talk a little bit about some of the questions we've been getting from you all is, hey, I've worked in a corporate job and I was furloughed, but now I'm laid off and I'm starting to think about starting my own business, starting my own company, doing contract work because there's not a lot of hiring in these certain areas. And that was a huge area we wanted to focus on because two of our contributors that are with us today, Mari and Tatiana, are going through a similar story. And we thought we could share some of the best practices and things that they're learning as they're getting ready to start this own journey of starting their own kind of business or side hustle. And we thought it'd be great to share with all of you today. So we have the three of us here. We're missing Sean. He's dealing with some work stuff. So we're going to kind of rock it out. And to kind of kick us off, ladies, I wanted to start with our quarantine question. So Mari, Tatiana, and I have all either been laid off or furloughed. And what I wanted to hear from you guys is what's been the biggest thing that you've learned during this period that has helped you to kind of get through these really kind of uncertain times? I don't know, Mari, if you want to kick us off.
Sure. I think the thing that I learned the most, which was also my challenge, was it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to let people know of your situation. It's never a great thing to let people know that you've been furloughed or laid off, and it's just it takes a hit on your ego. So you kind of have to put your ego aside and reach out to those people that you never know who they know in order to help your situation.
Yep. Tot, what about you?
I would say the best advice and that I've learned throughout this whole thing, I've been doing a lot of networking calls and talking to people, and the best advice I got was that it was important to write down my 3 best skills and really focus on that and make sure that every single day I'm focusing on those 3 skills. So basically before this, I kind of was all over the page on like what I wanted to do. I knew I loved branding. I knew I loved social media and website, but I didn't really know what that meant. And since this whole quarantine thing has happened, I figured out that I really love branding for other people. And if that's helping their website or their social media platforms, I try and focus on how I can better myself in those areas so that I can help and build my business that helps other people.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think for me, and Mari and I were talking about this earlier, like every day is not going to be a good day. I think during this furlough, it's been like, okay, like what classes can I take? Look at us. We like, what website can we build? How can we help others? Like, how can I extend myself? How can I do all these house projects? But I think remembering too, like, I'm sure all of us, and like a big thing for me was like, I was in school full time. I was working full time. I had a lot traveling all the time for work. And it was this constant go, go, go. And my life has taken this huge step back. We were laughing like, yes, last week, one of my purposes was Costco. Like that's all I had on my calendar for the day. And that was a tough day because I didn't feel fulfilled, but I think it's also okay. Like when I get back to work, I don't know if I'll ever have this much time on my hands again. So just making sure you're okay being in that sense of like, it might be a slower day and you don't have to do everything in this quarantine period. So I think that's been the biggest lesson I've learned is like, every day doesn't have to be a marathon of like doing 100,000 things. Like you can just be okay being in the present and like just getting through the day. It might not always be easy. And I think that's the huge part about Furlough Network is having a community of people like who are going through like-minded situations that you can lean on to kind of help you get through it. So it's been a big kind of thing for me to kind of focus on. Before we kind of get into like, how do you start your own business, key tips and tricks, I wanted you both to like share your story of how you've kind of gone from a corporate space now into kind of starting your own side hustle and your own business, just to kind of share with the viewers a little bit about what you guys are going through right now.
Sure, I'll go first. So I was with the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Philadelphia for 6 years. I started off as an intern my last semester as a senior at Temple University, and then I was fortunate enough to be hired with the company. I did everything from account management to budgeting to event program lifecycle. So I would manage from concept to reality. I did a statewide survey with Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I helped launch and pioneer a podcast as well as work with NBC 10 to to help market their own television. So I've done a lot of different things within those 6 years. And then once this virus hit, I was furloughed in the middle of April. And then I was officially let go in the beginning of July due to the fact that my department was no longer existing. So right now, I'm kind of figuring my whole branding out, as in how to brand myself. So I've worked with like Tatiana and other partners, and people from my network to figure out how best to present myself into the world. And I now officially label myself as a bilingual marketing professional with project management experience, if I could ever say it correctly. But yeah, so right now I am looking for jobs that are in that project management kind of role. In industry, I'm not really specific on industry. And personally, I'm still trying to make sure that all my ducks are in a row and figure out if I want to go into consulting on the side.
Sorry, I'm driving, everyone, so I apologize if I cut in and out. But I'm Tatiana, and I was working with a hospitality marketing company, and my job specifically was social media and branding. And what I did was manage over 40 to 50 pages for the hotels that the company owned across the country. They owned like Hilton's, embassies, Marriott's to boutiques. And when COVID hit, it was probably a pretty positive, like the first week in, they let me go just because it's a smaller company and the travel industry got hit pretty hard right away. So they let me go, but then recently I've been talking back and forth with them. I'm back on furlough, but as of last week, they don't really know when they can bring me back. So I've just been kind of figuring out, what I really want to do with my career and what's my next steps. And like I said earlier, I just kind of was all over the page. I didn't really even know what direction to go into other than the fact that I liked branding and I like social media. So like Mari was saying, it is really important to ask people because I genuinely had no idea what my next step could be. And networking with so many people and finding like this group, it's been so helpful because everybody's in the same spot, like we're trying to figure out where do we go. And it's so important. And for me, I've been writing things down constantly every day. I look back at my journal, like what have my goals been? What am I doing to accomplish it? Or even just what am I doing to learn something new that helps me or just makes me feel good in the moment that, I'm doing everything I can at least for, the time that it's being. So what I've been focusing on is, referrals. People have been referring me for, doing their websites, helping with social media. And I'm really enjoying that. And on a side of that, I'm really enjoying spending some time with family. I live across the country, and for the first time, I get to spend quality time with my family, which I never get. So I just feel like taking in every day and appreciating what I have has been a huge thing for me during this.
Yeah, that's awesome, Tot. And I think the question I had for you both was, you both came from corporate jobs. How did you make the decision, Mari? You're creating your own website, you're re-identifying yourself and what all the experiences have helped you. Tatiana, you have completely revamped our Furlough Network website. So if anyone wants to see the amazing work she can do, check out the new Furlough Network website. But you guys have kind of gone into this space now where you're starting your own companies, you're starting your own brands. How did you even start that process? You talking about talking to other people, but what were some of the steps you took to kind of create a website and start this process for both of you?
I can go. So basically, it's been a dream project of mine to create my own website. But of course, due to that rat race within the corporate world and in the nonprofit world too, it was always an excuse of I don't have time, I don't have the resources, I can't do this. It's taking up to I don't know where to start. And then when I was furloughed, here's this opportunity where I have literally all these days and all these hours to figure out how to do it on my own. So I went to Wix and I created 2 websites and I hated them both. I absolutely hated them because I couldn't take what was in my mind and then put it into the webpage. And then I was talking to Tot at the time, and she was like, I brand, I build websites. Why don't you work with me? And I was like, you are correct on that point. And this is where that whole don't be afraid to ask for help. So she told me to go on Pinterest, and she told me to look up web designs and web layouts and color schemes. And then from there, we kind of decided how to lay out the whole website. I drew some things. We went back and forth. But I mean, for me, it's been a dream project of mine. And now that I have the time and I have someone who was able to build the website for me, that's, I guess, how I came up with personal branding. And then it kind of snowballed from there.
For me, what really got my mind like running with the direction I went in was I had a networking call with a family friend, and she's also an entrepreneur. She started a chocolate business called Lily's Chocolate. And the first thing she said to me was, what do you genuinely enjoy to do? And is it something that you would like to do for the rest of your life? And she said when she started her company that she was always in the food industry and she genuinely loved it. Like it was just such a joy for her, and she wanted to create her own chocolate. So when she asked me that, I really sat down and I thought about like, what do I like to do and what am I good at? And, you know, I thought back to everybody's always asking me, can you edit my pictures? Can you do this? Can you help me with staging this? And sometimes even ask Mari, we live together. I like to stage the way my food looks. Like I like to make things look pretty. So I was like, how can I make that into a business? And how can that help other people? You know, like how can I stage something to look aesthetically pleasing that fits a brand? And I started writing that stuff down, and then, you know, looking that up and seeing what other branding companies do, or even influencers. What are people doing to help build something that they're really good at? And that's how I, you know, started figuring out that I like websites and I like social media and I like, you know, staging those photography sessions, and I want to build on that.
That's awesome. No, and I think too, how did you guys overcome the fear of maybe going out and doing this on your own, right? So I know for me, just like you guys coming from a corporate world, you knew when your paycheck was coming, you knew your health benefits, you had that corporate card, like some of those benefits, like it has to be scary kind of then going off on your own. For all of those who are listening, who are saying, you know, I kind of want to do this, but I'm afraid because I have a family or I have all this stuff going on. How did you guys overcome that fear? And did COVID kind of push you? And what are some of the key learnings you've learned from starting this process?
For me personally, because it is really scary, my stepdad, something that he's always taught me is that for me, I've always should have 3 months of stuff saved, just God forbid if anything were to happen. So when COVID started to hit, I remember saying to myself, okay, these paychecks, I got to save as much as I can because I just felt like something was coming. So that was like my first step to be like, at least I have some sort of cushion. God forbid something doesn't, you know, or something happens. But then from there, it was just, and, you know, the unemployment thing has been a little bit tricky for me too because I technically don't qualify. So, you know, making sure that I'm really writing down what I'm spending. Stop, you know, I'm not, you know, doing leisurely spends anymore, and making sure I'm not eating out as much, and I'm cooking in, and little things like that to make sure that I'm conscious of my, you know, life choices that I can, you know, afford. And that was really helpful, you know, when my stepdad helped me with my finances. Like, these are things to think about. And it's scary, but it's definitely doable.
So I would probably say the same thing that Todd has said. I kind of have the mentality of don't think, just do it. And that was exactly what COVID did to my life. It turned my life upside down, and I am fortunate enough to be able to be on unemployment, but that is running out sooner rather than later. So my thing is just, you know, I tend to get in my head a lot of like, am I going to be able to survive this? Can I do this? What am I going to do when this is done? And that whole like save as much as you can, live well below your means, I love going to Target and just walking around for hours and picking up things, and like the whole thing of like, you don't go to Target with a list. Like Target will tell you what you need. So that has been
So true.
definitely
So
true.
true. It's so true. It's horrible.
It's horrible, but it's like, I don't have a quote unquote steady paycheck coming, and that paycheck will be ending soon. So save as much as you can, and like stop getting in your head. Because once you go down that spiral, it's just so hard to crawl from out of it.
No, that makes sense. And as you guys have started to kind of create your own website, Tot, you're doing some work for others too. What if people are getting ready to start and they're looking at creating a website, creating a brand, kind of reevaluating it? Mari, you talked about Pinterest, but what are some of the other resources like communities or groups or Slack accounts or websites that you would highly recommend people to go and check out as they're thinking about getting started?
Sure. So I'll take this one and then I can go. Pinterest, such a great tool to figure out just the basics of how you want your website to look, what colors you like, what colors go well with the type of brand that you're trying to display. TED Talks, great for figuring out who you are, what are you like inspired by. I tend to have a short attention span, so those like 10 to 15-minute videos are perfect. I'll have them playing around in the background. Like TikTok has also been such a crazy good tool. Social media, there's a lot of career coaches, there's a lot of life coaches on there. So 60 seconds are perfect, as well as if you are or identify as a woman, I highly recommend joining this Slack channel called Ladies Get Paid. It has been amazing. I have gotten so many job opportunities from them. I've also sent them my website. They've given me helpful tips on how to improve it, how to better brand myself. They've given me words of encouragement, and these are ladies from all over. It's completely free to join. It will take a couple of days, but they have everything from job postings to diversity and inclusion to Slack channels with your city specific. They have like a retail space where you can sell things to. It's great. It has been something that I go on every day and just like keep the mentality of just keep going. Just don't think, just do it.
I've been listening to a lot of podcasts recently. Before COVID, I think I maybe had listened to one podcast in my life, but someone suggested it's a great way to, put it in the background while you're cleaning or, doing something. And that's been really helpful for me because there's so many podcasts that are out there that really, are educational. And then for branding, I mean, I got like 10 books right away that were, all of them were $1. And they've been so helpful. And it's little things like that where I just pick it up and I'm like, I'm going to read for 10 minutes, something. It doesn't have to be the whole book in a day. It's just a little bit here and there. Like I'll pick a chapter up and be like, I'm going to do this today. And doing those little steps
Hey, Todd, I think we might have lost you. I don't know if you're in Oregon or Seattle. I don't know where you're at right now, but we might have lost you.
You might be in the mountains.
She's in the mountains somewhere.
I feel like it really helped me and to educate myself. And then the last thing I really did was talk to a bunch of people, and that was.
So I think the things from Tatiana that we've learned is the podcast piece of it. I know that she was saying too, kind of picking up the books on branding and different things of that nature. So I know those were two of the ones that she's told us before too, Mara, that she's focused on. Mara, I think the other question that we've been getting asked is the time management piece. So Now you're going from this corporate 9 to 5 where your day was kind of aligned for you to be in the office at this time, your lunch break was this time, you left the office at this time. And now it's kind of like, all right, it's free reign, right? Like you're running your own website, you're running your own company. You now need to manage your time management and how you're scheduling that. So I know for me, it's been really challenging because some days you wake up and you're like, wait, I have a whole list of things to do. And there's other days we wake up and you're like, okay, Costco's today. But how are you managing your time so that you're balancing furlough life and working?
So I tend to keep the same schedule as what I was working. It just was something that worked well for me. I tend not to be so strict about it though. So if I am staring at my computer and I'm literally just staring and not doing anything because I'm not inspired, I will just close my computer and walk away from it and then just take a break. And then usually what happens with me is I'll get inspiration later in the day and I'll just open it back up. And I don't feel as guilty feeling like I'm working 24/7 just because of the fact that I gave myself the break earlier in the day. I definitely need to be better at scheduling times to get these tasks done because sometimes you'll get stuck watching a TED Talk or sometimes I'll put on Criminal Minds and I'm like stuck on the murder scenes and I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, I get easily distracted. So sometimes I think I need to get tighter on that blocking, scheduling, time out.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. I was driving to the woods. For me,
Right.
for me, I'm also I do really well with like scheduling myself because if I don't, I'm also very easily distracted. Like if a squirrel's outside, I swear I'm like a dog, and I need to have that scheduled for me just so that I know that I'm, staying on track. But I think the biggest thing is that I set myself weekly goals. So it's not like day to day where if I don't get that one thing done, I just make sure that by the end of the week, okay, did I get my main things that I was focusing on done? That way I can look back and be like, all right, I'm on track still. But yeah, I do agree that for me personally, I do need to schedule and make sure that, I'm staying on track with everything.
No, that makes sense. And I think as we get ready to close up, I just want to thank both of you. And you guys are such badass women. But I'm just so impressed by what both of you are doing. And it's an uncertain time and it sucks and it's crazy, but you guys are making the most of it and you have websites to show for it and brands. And it's just pretty amazing what you guys have done. So for the listeners who are just, thinking about, what, maybe this is my time. Like I just got laid off from a corporate job. Now is my time to really do it and trust in myself that I can make it. What advice or motivation would you provide to them to close us out? Mari, we're going to let you kick us off.
All right. The advice that I would give even myself in April would be to trust in the skills that you've built and trust in the people that you've surrounded yourself with. Because you have built, like I've built over 6 years of experience. And for a lot of people, that's not a lot. But for me, like I've done a lot. And writing all of it down kind of secured and confirmed the fact that I'm going to be okay. Of course, there'll be days where I'm just like on the floor crying, like I have no job, I have nothing else going on for me. But at the same time, I have the knowledge of being able to pick myself back up and just to figure it out and to do it. And at the end of the day, I know I'll be okay. And I have a great support system that will be cheering me on.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep, you're coming through.
Okay, great. Sorry. I think the best advice and knowledge knowing when starting your own business and through all this is that you're never alone. When when you're talking, I talked to so many people and that was the one thing that they said, you might doubt yourself. It's scary. You don't know what's coming, but there's not one person on this earth that has never felt that way. So it's nice knowing that you're not the only one and that we're all here for each other. I think that's really empowering when you're going through stuff like this.
Yeah, no, and I just appreciate both of you guys and taking the time today to kind of share what you guys have learned from the process. I just joined the Slack group, hashtag ladies get paid. So I'm
Yes.
pumped to have that new community too. And I just want to thank you guys for your honesty and transparency in this kind of, and what you guys are going through and how you are truly making the best out of it. I think it's amazing. And what you guys have both produced is incredible. So thank you both. How can people get in touch with you guys? Tatiana, if someone's reaching out like, God, my website needs an overhaul, and Mari, if they want to kind of hire you to do work, how can they get in touch with both of you ladies? And I know you're on the contributor page on our site, but what's the best way to get a hold of both of you or see your work?
My Instagram handle is Tatiana_Gonzalez, but I'm going to link everything on the website, so all of my information will be there as well.
And same for me. I have my website, which is my first name, last name.com. But that can be found on the Furlough Network website.
Perfect.
So, ease of access.
Awesome. Well, thank you, ladies. Tot, drive safe. Mari, thanks for joining us. And we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Furlough Network. Thanks for joining.
Bye.